Um, what did you like teaching the most or least?
What did I like teaching the most?
Mm.
Whoa, boy. I had one course that I really enjoyed, and that was institutional publications, how to teach students who are writers how to do publications.
Mm-hmm.
And right about that time, the computer was invented. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I came right in the beginning of that. And Craig, my son, had been to art school in Pittsburgh where he learned how to work with these new computers. He came back and taught me how to use them. So I was
Mm.
one of the first ones up here to know how to do it, and I was able to use it in that class.
Wow.
And I taught a lot of kids how to do publications.
Mm.
So
That's really cool. Yeah.
yeah, I enjoyed that course a lot. Um, what else? I liked all my classes. The one that was the toughest was advertising copywriting. And of course, I had been an ad copywriter for many years, but that meant I had to read a lot and make corrections and rewrite to show a student, what should be said here and rather than over here. And that, it was a lot of work.
Mm.
But as far as fun was concerned, the institutional publications class, that was the most fun.
Mm.
Yeah, the students enjoyed that class too.
I'll bet. Yeah. Okay, so what's your life advice?
My life
Advice.
advice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have to realize who you are and where you came from and where you're going. Um, For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, and whoso believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. That's key.
Mm.
That is key. And I believe that very strong. I was raised as a Christian, obviously, and that is very, very key. That's within me, and I pray fairly regularly, and um, I talk to your grandmother. You know, if you can hear me, Pat, uh, here's what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly feel that she knows what's going on. Okay,
Mm.
I truly feel that way. And the fellow that invited me back to Shippensburg to teach with him, uh, you know, Mark Lipper, I mentioned, he was a very strong Christian as well. And I've always gone to a church and been involved. And fortunately, I had a voice, and I was able. I've been singing in choirs since I was 14 years old,
Mm.
and I've been gifted heavily, very heavily gifted for what I'm able to do. My cartoons, my drawings, my singing, my writing. Uh, I have been very heavily gifted, and um, I don't want that to be wasted. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't. Here I am. I'm 87 years old. I'm trying to get a quartet going.
Mm-hmm.
Still singing in the choir.
Right. Yeah.
So, uh, and your grandmother was the same way. Very strong Christian. Very
Mm.
strong.
Right.
She was the secretary of her church for a number of years when I met her. She went to a um, uh, not a Methodist church, Episcopalian.
Mm.
She went to an Episcopalian church in Rhode Island and worked for the minister. And she also worked at a major company and did very well. She had an associate's degree. She was straight A, straight A through college, very sharp.
Wow. Yeah.
And she could type 130 words a minute without making a mistake. She would. Your grandmother was something else.
Wow. That's pretty fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
What do you think is the key to life?
The key to life is just what I mentioned,
Mm.
and there's absolutely no other, no other key, no other path. You have to love your neighbor as yourself.
Mm.
You know.
Right.
So.
Love thy neighbor.
Yep.
Nana, the woman my mom calls Nana is your mom, right?
Say that again.
The woman my mom calls Nana is your mom, right?
They call Nana. Yeah,
Nana, yeah.
Nana Mason. Yes.
I believe that
she would be your mother's grandmother.
Right.
Yeah.
I think she told my mom that her key of life was to be happy.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what she said.
Yeah.
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 It's interesting.
Well, she was a strong Christian. She was Catholic.
Mm.
Okay. And when she married my father, who was a Protestant, the Catholic Church kicked her out of the church.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy. They don't do that anymore. I'm sure they don't.
Mm-hmm.
But back in those days, she was discommunicated from the Catholic Church because she married my father.
Wow. That's pretty harsh.
And she became a Methodist, a very strong Methodist. She worked she volunteered at the church. She was Italian. She put on Italian dinners, spaghetti suppers that were fundraisers for the church.
Mm.
She did a lot for the church.
Mm.
What?
Yeah, it's really cool. But she got thrown out of the church. Wow.
What's that?
She got thrown out of church, out of the whole community.
Who?
Nana.
She got thrown out out of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
She wasn't allowed to be a Catholic.
Mm.
I'm sure they don't do that anymore. I think back then, things were different back then than they are today.
When would that have been? Do you know?
That would be up in the Boston area.
Do you know when that would have been?
That would have been, they got married in 1934. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 33, 34 that they were married.
Early 30s. Okay.
Yep.
What do you think has changed in the world that you were talking about?
What has changed in the world since when?
What change have you seen, generally in the world?
What have I seen? Well, 4 years ago, I got involved with national politics, with actually local politics, but for a candidate and who was running for Congress, and I turned out I ended up doing all his print stuff. Did I tell you that?
I didn't think I knew that you did all of it.
Oh, all of his print.
Wow.
I wasn't into TV or anything like that. He had a company that did that for him.
Mm-hmm.
But it did his billboards, his handouts, his ads, anything that was printed, I did, and he appreciated that.
Mm.
He spent $123,000 of his own money during the campaign.
Mm.
They are expensive.
It's a lot of money, yeah.
I mean, he was running for this district not in the Senate, but in the House of Representatives.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a great guy. As I said, he was presidential material, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And when the services became united, when they brought the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Coast Guard together, he headed the committee representing the Coast Guard in those organizational meetings.
Wow.
The Coast Guard thought that much of him to put him in that position.
To represent the whole Coast Guard.
The whole Coast Guard.
Wow.
Okay?
Mm.
Good man. And when Grandma was in the hospital during the time when he was running, he stopped by twice in the hospital and visited her because she was my wife. You know? It was nice of him to do.
Mm-hmm. Really nice.
But what happened, he was, one of his things that he wanted to do when enlisting what he was going to do when he became a congressman, he wanted to put in term limits in D.C. You got term limits for the president. You got the governors.
Mm-hmm.
All have term limits. But Congress doesn't have term limits.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted that Congress to have term limits. Well, what happened? We were leading. We were ahead. We had something like 4 or 5 days yet to go before the voting, and in the polls, my guy was ahead.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Sounds pretty good so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was ahead. And in the last 3 days, there was another candidate too who ran for governor of Pennsylvania, Doug
Mastriano.
Mastriano. Okay? Mastriano was right behind my guy, Art Halverson.
Mm-hmm.
Right behind him. He was running up for term limits too. All right?
Mastriano was?
Mastriano.
Okay.
The last week, 2 organizations in Washington, one a Republican, one a Democratic organization. They spent $97,000 in those several days. My mailbox was full of color brochures against my guy.
Oh, wow.
With lies.
Mm.
Carter, lies.
Mm.
Things he didn't do. They say he did. He didn't. All right? They had a picture of him against a wall with his height on the back like criminals had taken. That was in one of the things. Looked like he was a criminal.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't believe it. came out of Washington. $97,000. You could see they have to tell, they have to explain, and that's reported.
Right.
They spent $97,000 against Halverson and against Mastriano. $97,000
That's
in
a
3
lot
or
of
4
money.
days.
Wow.
And they beat him. Now, my guys sued those people, okay? Sued them. He won, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
He was awarded $8,000.
That's it?
That's scary.
Yeah. For losing a whole election? Yeah.
Oh my God. Was that a lesson for me?
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot during that. Oh. I got sick. He was really upset, of course.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, that's dirty.
He was in charge of a committee that set up the protection of the United States of America on all waterfronts, everything on the East Coast, Southern, and the West Coast. He was in charge of the committee because it was the Coast Guard that formed the defenses protecting the United States. He was in charge of that. It gives you the level of the ability of that guy.
Very important, yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. What happened?
But that's the kind of guy I've been working for over the years. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Like,
I have been very fortunate to work with people on that level. The Marine who went up to be the top general in the Marines, Al Gray.
right.
Art Halverson.
There was someone else in that story with Al Gray.
Huh?
There was someone else in the story with Al Gray that was really important too.
I didn't report to him.
But didn't you report to someone who also was pretty high?
I reported to an officer in charge who worked with Al Gray, who came in every once in a while.
Mm.
And that officer in charge was a guy by the name of, come on, Robinson. Kirby Robinson. Really a neat guy. And he's the guy that said to me, whatever it is, you have it. Good luck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, my. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was on television, maybe I told you one time, I came up, did I tell you that? Of when the President of the United States was at a meeting in Washington, and the Bainbridge Concert Choir was singing at that meeting. And I had a solo during our presentation, and they had a picture on national television of the president listening to our group, and they had me next to him.
Mm.
I'm singing to the president of the United States of America.
Wow.
National television.
Yeah.
That happened once. I didn't know it. I didn't know it until after the whole thing was over and somebody told me.
Mm.
And a couple of years later, I was in Worcester visiting a friend of mine, and he was a barber, and I walked into his barber shop. He said, Mason, I saw you with the president, singing to the president.
Yeah, that's really cool.
You know, I've been very, very fortunate.
Mm-hmm. Very fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you hope happens to the family, I guess?
To our family?
Yeah.
Well, I hope the family stays together,
Mhm.
keeps together. You'll be in different places, maybe across the country, but
Mhm.
you maintain contact with each other and help each other as needed.
Mhm.
We're a family,
Mhm.
and that's what I would certainly would hope.
Right. Yeah. I think those are all the questions on there, but I could ask some more.
What's that?
I could ask some more questions. Do you have a favorite movie?
A favorite movie?
Yeah.
Hmm. I liked Star Wars. I really like Star Wars.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Did you have a favorite of the Star Wars movies?
Oh, that's right. There was more than
It was like six. Yeah.
I'm not a big movie fan. I'm not a
Okay.
big movie goer,
Hmm.
and used to like Walt Disney's cartoons,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think Star Wars probably as a whole.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Huh?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no question.
Do you have a favorite song, maybe?
My favorite song.
Mm.
This one I sing a lot, and yeah, what is it? Um, um, First the tide rushes in, plants a kiss on the shore, then rolls out to sea, and the sea is very still once more. So I'll rush to your side with the oncoming tide, with one burning thought: will your arms open wide at last? We're face to face, and as we kiss through an embrace, I can tell, I can feel you are love. You are real, really mine. In the rain, in the sun, in the dark, in the sun, like the tide at its end. I'm at peace in the web of your arms. What was the name of that song?
Hmm. Did not know that.
That's my favorite song.
Okay. Um. I mean, that's all the questions I have. So, is there anything else you want to say?
Um, I would say that when my time comes and I'm knocking on the door of St. Peter, I'm giving him my excuse for coming in. I've been looking forward this to a long, long time,
Mm.
and I can't wait. Can't wait to meet the Lord Himself.
Mhm.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. I think it's a good place to end it.
What's that?
I think that's a good
Yep.
place to stop. All right. You want to wave or something? I don't know.
Yep.
Bye, people.